Namaste, friends of Miracles with a Twist. We've run into some copyright complications with Facebook as well as with YouTube. So we're going to have to be more diligent around the use of pre-recorded music. So I'm using a very old-fashioned method for getting last night's live stream to you. I'm just recording from my phone off of my computer. But I'll eliminate the copyrighted songs that have become issues and blocks, because we were blocked last night in the entirety of the live stream. That was Thursday, July 28th, 2020. And so let's see how we do with this re-recording. It may not be the best quality, but it's still an effort to get the message to you. I hope you enjoy, and we will continue forward in our mighty sacred journey together without using copyrighted music. So that's the law of the land, and we will obey. So God bless you. Thanks for being a part of the spiritual community, and enjoy this evening's Miracle with a Twist.
And then extend that connection out to those that you don't currently feel connected to. Allow yourself to expand your heart, stretch, and feel into a place of not knowing. I don't know where my energy goes when I send it out. I just know that Spirit will send it in the place where it's needed. And so I ask to be of service in this moment that way, just by sending out love and compassion. Whatever my heart is capable of in this moment, I ask for it to be even further stretched, so that I can rise higher as I pray harder, so I can love steadily and forgive readily. All that is in my life, all that is without my life, all that is out there, I bring to a consciousness of light, stepping into light, being light, extending light, receiving light. Being a part of the cycle of giving and receiving blessings, light, love, kindness, compassion, receiving and extending, receiving and extending. Allowing my heart to be a vehicle of kindness and caring and compassion for all that I know and for all that I don't know, for my community, for the state, for the country, for the world. Let us all just imagine let's suspend any doubt. And just be so convicted and convinced that in this moment and in this time together, we can raise our own consciousness higher so that our perception of those we have judged begins to shift, and we see everyone as our brother and a sister, that we speak with compassion, that we extend love, light, kindness in all things and to everyone. Suspending judgment and fear. So I'll take a nice deep breath together and be in this moment together. Happy Holy Thursday. Welcome everyone. Welcome my mighty companions. It's our opportunity to be here and open ourselves up to the possibility of walking a talk of not just hearing, oh, hang on, see, not just hearing that, you heard it, but not just hearing that, not just being in a place of talking, but being in the place of truly walking what we talk and applying what we learn through these lessons. And of course, in Miracles, this past few years, we've been saying that we don't want to just read it and discuss it, but we want to live it. We want to actually live our spiritual principles. And now we're going even further and saying that it's not even just enough to live it, but to really dig deep on a daily level, daily basis, to dig deep into what it is we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're responding, how we're interacting with people, and to be rigorously honest with ourselves so that we can truly see ourselves objectively as witnesses to our own selves, so that we can say, you know what, this is the area in which I need to do a little bit better, and that I can be truly honest with myself and honest with my intentions and my willingness. And Rev Lisa Benton and I talk about this. We have an extended program that occurs after the live stream. It happens on Thursdays and on Tuesdays. We get together and we look at the concepts that we've discussed, and we dig a little bit deeper. And we say that we're digging deep and unpacking these concepts so that we can present them in such a way that it's just like looking into the life that is in front of us, and the life that we're living, and the way that we are living that life. That we can be rigorously honest and be willing to discuss and see where changes within ourselves need to be. Because no matter what we're talking about, it sounds like we're talking about the world out there, but we're always talking about the world in here, the place inside us that needs some corrections or adjustments. And that's what true deep diving really is about. Looking at ourselves, doing what it is that we need to do for ourselves so that we can then be better servants and better stewards of God's graces. And so Miracles with a Twist Conversations is a new program you can find on our Facebook page and on YouTube. And we invite you to listen, to participate, to ask us any questions, so that you can be doing some digging deep with us, because you are the mighty companions that are on this journey with us. And we talked on Tuesday about how it's kind of easy to talk about these things without applying it. You know, we can do a lot of talking, and we can sound sort of wise, you know, but the true spiritual challenge and the true spiritual stretching, and kind of like a yoga stretch, is to move into application of these concepts. And you know, we just do the best we can on a daily basis. We just do the best we can. And there's some days when we don't get to the level that we had hoped for ourselves. You know, I wanted to be a better person today. You know, I had spiritual amnesia. I did something, or I said something that may not have been my highest self. But at least we can look at ourselves and be honest about it and see it, and not project it, not deflect it, but really own it and make whatever adjustments are needed. I saw this TikTok willing to truly look within and see where we may not be achieving our highest goal on any given day. And so then we start anew. The next day we start anew. But we have to do it honestly and like with some level of truth that suspends any condemnation of ourselves, because it's not about that. It's about being willing to make the adjustment. I saw this movie. I'm not necessarily recommending it, but if you wanted to see it, you can see it. It's called Doomed Love. Doomed Love? Doomed of Love? No, I'm not sure. But it's about this guy who goes on a yoga retreat. And he sits in on this kirtan evening, and he sort of falls in love at first sight with this woman who's one of the kirtan singers. And so he's, like following her around like a little puppy dog, just like, puppy love. And so they get to know each other, and at one point she's on the phone, I think it was with her mom, and she's yelling and screaming, and she throws her phone down, and he goes, wait a minute, weren't you the person who was just in there like singing, about peace and love? And she said, yeah, because in there, I can be who I want to be. And I thought, that's so true. We want to be a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that at times we aren't that way. But we always, if we're going to be doing this work, we always have to be true to ourselves and honest with ourselves so that we can see where it is that we need to make some changes. And so today we are going to move into back to the manual. We're going back to the manual today, Manual for Teachers, because if you're doing the text, you're in your review section. And so we're going to go back to the manual, which is something we've been promising we were going to do for a while now. And this section is on judgment, the relinquishment of judgment. So when we are going through our self-evaluation and we see that there are things that we could have done better, it's not about being harsh with ourselves, judging ourselves harshly, but it is about being honest and looking at the fact that judgment, the way A Course in Miracles talks about it, is pretty deep. And we're going to talk and we're going to see how far we can go into this with an understanding that when we do judgment, when we judge on our sort of earthly life, no matter what it is, even if it's like we're using spiritual terminology and as sort of as a way to separate ourselves from others, we are in judgment. And so the Course tells us that we don't really have the capacity to judge the way the ultimate truth would judge. Because the ultimate truth would say that we don't really know what anything is for. Of course, A Miracle says that in one of the lessons. I don't know what anything is for. So if I don't know what it is for, what is my right to judge it? What I need to do is just go through it. I need to go through whatever is presented to me in my life on a daily basis, go through it, and see how I can rise as a result of it. How can I, as an evaluator of my own self, learn and rise? Learn and rise. So let's see what it says. Let's see if we can make sense of this together. How is judgment relinquished? This is in the Manual for Teachers, and it's question number 10. Manual for Teachers, question number 10. It says, judgment, like other devices by which the world of illusions is maintained, is totally misunderstood by the world. It is actually confused with wisdom and substitutes for truth. Well, right there, I can put the book down. Because it's saying, the devices, what are the devices? It's everything that our ego uses. Everything that our ego uses is a device. It's like, whether I'm judging, or I'm fearful, or I'm reacting, whatever it is a device that I'm using to try and determine how things should be. According to me, according to my determination, which might be very different from how you think things should be. I mean, especially, did you ever, I don't get into political arguments, but I've witnessed people getting into political arguments. They have very strong opinions about how things should be. It's one view against another. So who's to say when everybody believes they are right. There's a book I read once that said everyone is right, but it also meant that everyone's a little bit wrong, because everyone is right a little bit because you are entitled to what you believe. Doesn't mean that in some ultimate truth that everyone's ever going to believe the same thing. So we're confusing our judgments with wisdom. And here again is what Gotti, Lisa, and I were talking about on Tuesday. You know, sometimes people throw out the word divine, or throw out some spiritual terminology, and it sounds wise, but is it wise? Is it really a masking of judgment or condemnation? We have to be willing to really look deeply at what it is we're saying and what it is we're doing. If I say I've been divinely protected from you, well, you've been divinely protected from me. It's still a judgment. I'm making a judgment of you. And I'll tell you what, when we get really raw and real about what it is that's going on in our lives, we can just break it down to the very basic concept of whether or not I am being true to my spiritual realization of you being innocent and beloved. And if I can't get to that, then I'm in judgment of you. Until we get to that place where we can see others as innocent and see ourselves as innocent and reflections of one another, then we are in judgment. I'm not saying it's easy, it's a tall order, but that's what the Course is saying, that in the ultimate truth of who people are and who each beloved child of God is, we're not the ones who are entitled to judging them for whatever. Ernesto's having a nightmare. We have a little Ernesto, wake up. It's okay. I wonder what he's dreaming about. It says, as the world uses the term, an individual is capable of good and bad, and his education aims at strengthening former and minimizing the later. There is, however, considerable confusion about what these categories mean. What is good? What is bad? What is good to one might be bad to another. I remember years ago, I was in a sort of a beginning, when I was first beginning attending a class in A Course in Miracles, and we were having this discussion, and someone was saying, like, why can't I decide what is good? Like, what if I'm at the park and I'm really enjoying the breeze and the birds, and I say, this is a really good day. There's nothing wrong with you enjoying your day and deciding that it's a good day for you. However, what if there's somebody sitting next to you who's afraid of birds, or has an allergy to whatever allergens are out? It's not a good day for them. So the ultimate truth is not ours to determine. We can just determine what we are experiencing in the moment. You can have your happy dream. Lisa and Paul went tree climbing today. They had a good day. They were climbing trees and having fun. We're here to enjoy our lives. We're here to climb trees and have fun and jump out of airplanes and swim and whatever the world has to offer us. But we're not here to decide how it is for anyone else or how it should be. We're just here to be in the moment and to enjoy our life in what the Course calls the happy dream. Because it's not our ultimate reality. It is necessary for the teacher of God to realize, not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. We cannot. We can project, we can have our opinions, but we're not ultimately capable of the judgment of what is good, bad, right or wrong. Because it's not up to us to decide those things. I'm down in paragraph 2 in case you're trying to follow me. Let's go to 3, paragraph 3. The aim of our curriculum, unlike the goal of the world's learning, is the recognition that judgment, in the usual sense, is impossible. This is not an opinion, but a fact. In order to judge anything rightly, one would have to be fully aware of an inconceivably wide range of things, past, present, and yet to come. One would have to recognize in advance all the effects that his judgment would be wholly fair to everyone. So think about that. If every time you had a judgment, it had to be wholly fair to everyone. Well, as long as you're in judgment, the way we think of judgment is not fair. Because we're saying this person should have acted a certain way. I have decided that this person is inappropriate, or this, whatever. We can label them, we can condemn them, we can call them names, we can tell them that they're any category of mental illness that we've decided to diagnose. Doesn't make us right, it makes us opinionated. Remember how many times you thought you knew all the facts? Oh my God! As soon as I read that, I thought, I had this image of my brother Jesus, who wrote this, sitting in a corner going, yeah, Lori, remember all the times you thought you were right? You thought you had all the facts? And I'm like, yeah, dude, right. You're right. That's the ultimate right. Remember how many times you thought you knew all the facts you needed for judgment, and how wrong you were? Is there anyone who has not had this experience? Would you know how many times you really thought you were right without ever realizing you were wrong? Why would you choose such an arbitrary basis for decision making? Wisdom is not judgment. It is the relinquishment of judgment. To be truly wise is to relinquish judgment. To be truly, fully in the present moment, without judging it. And again, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, or it doesn't mean maybe you're not happy with it, but it still means that you don't know the ultimate reason for whatever is happening in your life. So whatever it is, it's been, Marion Williams says that it's prescribed by the Holy Spirit, sending in characters, from the cast of characters for you to decide how are you going to interact, how are you going to be love, how are you going to be visible love, compassion, and kindness. Not after you've had your say, not after you've decided you're going to tell somebody all that you want to tell them about themselves, and then step back and say, well, I'm just so in my righteousness about it because somehow I know what's wrong with them. Of course, it's telling us, no, you don't. No, you don't. We don't. We just don't know. We do know that we have this human experience, and that we have this opportunity to pay attention to our own thoughts, our own judgments, our own fears, our own reactivity, and make a decision as to whether or not I'm going to listen and look with the eyes of my ego, or listen and look with the eyes of spirit that tells me to look within, not without. Look within. And then I can travel down to my heart and respond from there. It says, make but one judgment, and it is this: there is someone with you whose judgment is perfect. Who is our companion, our Hari, our holy self? He knows all the facts, past, present, and to come. He does know all the effects of his judgment on everyone and everything, and he is wholly fair to everyone, for there is no distortion in his perception. I think of this as being like the sun or the wind. If you're walking down the street and somebody that you think is a horrible person is walking down the street, the sun isn't going to just shine on you and say, well, that's not a good person. It is wholly fair. That which is universal is wholly fair. What is shining on you is shining on them. What is shining in your heart has the capacity to shine out on everyone. To be in a universal consciousness of brotherhood and sisterhood, and to constantly have that prayer within yourself. Help me to see this differently. Help me to see this person differently. Help me to move out of my condemnation and my judgment and to look at myself. Like, what part of me is being seen when I look at them? That's the true challenge. Because everyone is a little sliver of a mirror. They say the Essenes have this wonderful concept that I use as a visual, which was that there was the vessel of our unity was broken, and now we are seemingly separated. We think of ourselves as separated, but we're all slivers of that looking glass. You know, we're all looking at each other, but we're looking into a piece of the whole, the wholeness of who we all are when we come together. Lay judgment down, not with regret, but with a sigh of gratitude, a sigh of relief. Now are you free of the burden so great that you could merely stagger, and it was all an illusion, nothing more. Now can the teacher of God rise up unburdened and walk lightly. It is not difficult to relinquish judgment. It is difficult to try to keep it. The teacher of God lays it down happily the instant he recognizes its cost. The instant you recognize the cost. What is the cost of your judgment? What is the cost of your upset? And then it is your loss of peace. If you ultimately want peace, this is the way that we find it, by unpacking and removing those blocks to love. We're looking at how much control the ego has over our thinking. I sent out a meme on my daily WhatsApp text. I send out every day I send out a text on WhatsApp. If you're not on there, you want to be on there, let me know. It's just like little things of inspiration. And the other one that I sent out was Zen counsel from the Zen tradition. It said that meditation, the goal of meditation isn't to control your thoughts, but to keep them from controlling you. So as long as we're at the mercy of our thoughts, the mercy of our judgments, we're not going to be at peace. We're not going to be at peace. And stay up at night with your thoughts running around. What you could have said, what you should have said, what they should have done. Oh, did you have a night like that? I bet so. Or is it just me? Maybe it's just me. All the ugliness we see as an outcome. So in other words, as long as I'm judging something as being ugly and horrible and bad, that is the outcome that I have focused on. I'm focusing on something that I don't like, as opposed to using it as an opportunity to relinquish judgment. Why? Because we want peace. We want to find peace. We want to find peace within. We're going to give up the cause, which the effects are mistaken choices. Teacher of God, this step will bring you peace. Can it be difficult to want this? Here's something that happened today. It's a little miracle, I think. I was reading this section, and I was thinking about just how often we judge, how often I judge. I mean, people are really honest. Like, if you're really honest, you're like, I'm judging all the time. Like, I'm just like judging. I'm in my judgment, you know. And I was thinking about that, and I have this little collection of books that are all related to Course in Miracles teachings. So I was looking at my books, and I said, I'm just going to see, if any of them have anything to say about judgment. So my eye caught the disappearance of the universe. We haven't talked about this in years. I haven't even picked it up in years. But I said, well, let me pick this up. And I went to the back, and I looked up judgment. And there was a whole bunch of different references to judgment. But there was one that said release of judgment, and it took me to page 336 in The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. So I said, okay, let me see what it says. And guess what it says? It refers to the Manual for Teachers, question 10. Honest to God, I don't make these things up. I open this up, and it says, as it says in the manual, and then I was like, oh, well, let's see what the little reference point is, and I went, and it was the exact same. It was page 27 in the manual, question 10. So it must be that we need to hear it today. So the conversation is that Gary Renard, the author, is talking to some ascended masters, And they're talking about judgment. And he's saying, well, what happens when I'm in judgment while I'm watching the news? Like, there's things that come up on the news and they really upset me. Am I supposed to apply the same concepts as the concepts when I'm trying to be in a mindset of non-judgment of my loved ones? Because that seems to be a little bit easier. And so this is what the response was. They said, it's all the same. There can be certain thoughts that help different people in different situations. There's a passage in the manual, the one we just read today, that's very helpful because it reminds you that if you let the Holy Spirit take care of judgment, then it can actually put you in a much more powerful situation. It's no sacrifice for a teacher of God to give up the burden of judging. And here's the quote. It puts you in a position where judgment through you rather than by you can occur. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and there's only one judgment, and it is that God's Son is guiltless and sin does not exist. The reason you didn't hear that before is because I jumped over that paragraph while I was reading it to you, so you have to hear it twice. So let's hear it again. We put ourselves in a position where judgment goes through us rather than by us. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and it is this one, that God's Son is guiltless and sin does not exist. So we are continuously challenged by this particular concept. But if you have the manual, read it again and just let it sink in, that we are here to enjoy the happy dream, to climb trees and to enjoy our lives, enjoy the breeze, and to be kind to one another. And you will notice that you lose your sense of peace and connection to Source, to God, to Jesus, whatever is the Holy Spirit for you, the higher Holy Self for you, that you will lose that peace, you will lose that happiness when you move into judgment. And that's what it's telling us, that just to recognize it, to recognize that when you are in judgment, it throws you off. It throws off your balance. It throws off your peace. And in order for you to find peace, you can relinquish judgment. And in relinquishing judgment, you start being more self-aware. You start becoming more self-aware of how you are using your words, your time, your interactions with people to be more of a voice for kindness and caring and compassion. Not just like the mom in the church who's dancing in the aisles after she beat her son, but like the person who truly knows that you truly know who you are. And in knowing who you are and knowing what your intentions are, because you are praying higher and harder, that you are focusing on loving steadily and forgiving readily, that you can come to your evening with a prayer of thanksgiving and an intention to start the new day. Not for what you're going to do, but who you're going to be. And that prayer in the night is a prayer of peace and thanksgiving, and the prayer in the morning is to be used in the service of goodness. Tell me where to go, tell me what to do, tell me what to say and to do, and to just allow ourselves to be guided. And on that note, I'm just going to say, I know you have it in you. I know. We all have the capacity. So we're going to continue striving toward that. We did not touch the workbook today because we are moving toward the next section. So next week we're going to be talking about.
So that's where we got cut off because we used a song that was prohibited. So for those of you who are looking for the songs that I've shared over time, go to the playlist on this YouTube channel that says Music Shares. And if you're looking at this on Facebook, go to the channel Rev Lori Cardona. That's my YouTube channel. Look at the playlist. There's one called Miracles with a Twist, and there's one called Music Shares. And Music Shares has 339 songs that I've shared over time. So please enjoy them. Please subscribe. And God bless you. Namaste. See you soon. And believe me, I am in such joy to be able to share this sacred path with you. So let's continue on together.